Could social media be impacting our health in ways we never anticipated? In our modern world, social media is as ubiquitous as the air we breathe. It's the first thing we check in the morning, our companion during the day, and the last thing we see before we close our eyes at night. It's a constant presence, shaping our perceptions, our relationships, and even our sense of self. But what if I told you that the influence of social media goes beyond the obvious? That it could be subtly altering not just our minds, but our bodies as well? Take, for instance, the curious case of teen girls who suddenly developed functional tics after spending hours immersing themselves in TikTok videos. These aren't your typical tics, mind you. As explained by Dr. Danoon, these are functional tics, a type of functional neurological disorder, a disorder that manifests physically but originates in the mind. These young girls were not merely watching TikTok videos, they were absorbing, mimicking, and internalizing the behaviors they saw to the point of manifesting physical symptoms. They were not passive spectators. They were active participants in a digital world that was shaping their reality in ways they never anticipated. And this isn't just about TikTok or tics, it's about the unseen influence of social media, the subtle ways it can shape us, mold us, and in some cases, even harm us. It's about recognizing that our digital interactions are not without their consequences, that the virtual world can have very real, very physical impacts on our health. So, before we delve deeper into this phenomenon, ponder this. Are we mere spectators of social media, or are we being subtly manipulated? As we move through our digital landscape, are we truly in control, or are we mere puppets dancing to the tune of an algorithm? As you ponder these questions, remember this: knowledge is power. And understanding the unseen influence of social media is the first step towards reclaiming our power. Consider this. A group of teenage girls, all developing similar tics after engaging with TikTok. It sounds like a plot from a science fiction novel, doesn't it? But this is not fiction. It's a case study that's as real as it is fascinating. Here's what happened. These teenagers were watching videos on TikTok. Nothing unusual about that, right? But these specific videos featured influencers who had tics, involuntary movements, or sounds that some people make. The girls watched these videos over and over again. They were drawn in by the influencers, their charisma, their stories. Before long, they started to notice something strange. They were developing tics of their own. Now, these weren't your typical tics. According to Dr. Danoon, a leading expert in the field, what these girls were experiencing were functional tics. But what does that mean exactly? Well, a functional neurological disorder is a condition where the brain's normal mechanisms aren't working properly. It's not caused by damage to the brain, but by the ways in which the brain functions. It's like the brain gets caught in a loop, repeating the same action over and over again. And in this case, that action was the tics that the girls had seen on TikTok. But how could this happen? How could watching a video cause someone to develop a neurological disorder? The answer lies in the power of mimicry. Our brains are wired to mimic the actions of others. It's how we learn to talk, to walk, to interact with the world. Usually this mimicry is a good thing. It helps us fit in, understand others, and learn new skills. But in this case, the mimicry went too far. The girls' brains started copying the tics they saw on TikTok, even though they didn't need to. So what do we make of this? Is it just a bizarre coincidence? Far from it. This is not just a coincidence, but a clear indication of the powerful influence of social media. It's a stark reminder of how our online interactions can have real, tangible impacts on our lives in ways we might not always expect. But how does this happen? How does watching a video lead to physical tics? Let's dive into the science behind this fascinating and somewhat alarming phenomenon. Our brains are incredibly malleable and adaptable, capable of learning and unlearning behaviors through a process called neuroplasticity. In our day-to-day lives, we're constantly learning new things, and our brain is constantly adapting to accommodate these changes. In the midst of all this brain activity, there are specialized cells called mirror neurons. These neurons fire not only when we perform an action, but also when we observe someone else performing the same action. For instance, when you watch someone laughing, your mirror neurons for laughing also fire up, creating a sense of empathy and understanding. This is why you might find yourself smiling or laughing along. Now apply this concept to the world of TikTok. When teens watch influencers with tics, their mirror neurons are activated, mimicking the observed behavior. Over time, with repeated exposure, these mimicked behaviors can become ingrained as tics. In addition, the power of suggestion plays a crucial role. When we're told something often enough, we may start to believe it's true. This is often referred to as the placebo effect. In the context of TikTok, when teens repeatedly watch influencers with tics, they may subconsciously start to believe that they too should have these tics. This belief can manifest physically, leading to the development of functional tics. It's important to note that these tics aren't intentional or consciously controlled. They're the result of subconscious processes in the brain, influenced by what we repeatedly consume. So it's not just about what we consume, but how often we consume it. Our brains are constantly evolving, and with the advent of social media platforms like TikTok, it's more important than ever to be aware of the unseen influence they can have on our behaviors. This isn't just about TikTok or tics, it's about the broader impact of social media on our health. Let's step back for a moment and take a look at the bigger picture. Social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook are not just harmless entertainment. While they can be a source of joy, creativity, and connection, they can also have profound impacts on our mental and physical well-being. Consider, for instance, the permeating stress and anxiety that can come from constant exposure to an unattainable ideal. Picture-perfect posts can create an unrealistic expectation of what our lives should look like, leading to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. The constant barrage of information can also contribute to an overwhelming sense of stress as we struggle to keep up with the onslaught of news, updates, and trends. Moreover, excessive screen time can disrupt our sleep patterns, leading to chronic fatigue and other health issues. The blue light emitted by our devices can trick our brains into thinking it's still daytime, disrupting our natural sleep cycles. Then there's the issue of depression. Studies have shown a correlation between heavy social media use and feelings of loneliness and depression. The irony is that while these platforms are designed to connect us, they can often make us feel more isolated as we compare our lives to the carefully curated ones we see online. And let's not forget about the potential physical impacts. From text neck to screen-induced eye strain, our bodies are also bearing the burden of our digital habits. So it's clear that our interaction with social media extends far beyond simple amusement. It's a complex relationship that can have significant effects on our health and well-being. The key, of course, is awareness. By understanding these potential impacts, we can make more informed decisions about how we engage with these platforms. The question is, how do we balance our engagement with social media and our health? The balance between social media engagement and health is a fine one, but achievable. As we navigate the digital world, it's crucial to take steps to guard against the potential pitfalls that come with excessive exposure to certain types of content. One of the most effective ways to do this is by setting boundaries. This means establishing limits on the amount of time spent on social media platforms and being mindful of the type of content we consume. Creating a schedule for social media use is one practical approach. Allocate specific times of the day for browsing and stick to it. This not only helps to reduce the overall time spent online, but also promotes a healthy balance between digital engagement and real-life interactions. Another key step is curating your online environment. Be selective about who you follow and the type of content you engage with. If something doesn't make you feel good or positively contribute to your day, it might be time to click that unfollow button. In the same vein, take advantage of the mute and block features when necessary. They can be powerful tools for creating a more positive and healthy digital space. Equally important is taking regular breaks from social media. This could mean having a full day each week where you completely disconnect, or shorter, more frequent periods throughout the day. These breaks allow your brain to rest and reset, reducing the risk of overstimulation and its potential side effects, like the functional tics we discussed earlier. Lastly, remember the importance of real face-to-face interaction. Social media can often give us a skewed perception of reality, so it's important to ground ourselves in the real world as much as possible. Spend time with loved ones, engage in hobbies, join a club, or simply take a walk in nature. Remember, social media is a tool, and like any tool, it's all about how we use it. It's up to us to use it in a way that benefits us rather than harms us. This balance is not only achievable, but essential for our overall well-being.